So I have made the decision on what your last major grade is going to be, and so like this will be your major grade for the third 6 weeks. You're going to start it today. Okay, don't freak out and be like, oh my God, no, you're not going to start it today. Okay, you're going to be given the assignment today. It's not terrible. The assignment is already in Canvas. We've talked about how there are a number of documents that you are required to know, right? Because you foolishly chose to take AP, and I'm going to assume that you're probably going to take the AP test, and I've got a flyer for you today on how to sign up for said AP test. The idea then is because you chose AP, I will prepare you for the AP test, even though I don't particularly care. So in addition to the 9 documents that you are required to know, because you have to pull out information from 2 of those documents on your long essay or FRQ number 4, you're also required to know 15 Supreme Court cases. Hold on. Okay, so, where were we? Oh, so you have to know 15 Supreme Court cases. Okay, FRQ number 3 on the AP test. And by the way, just so you understand the rumors that I'm hearing, whether like we are like this for the entire year, you will take the full AP test, right? Like you will take the regular full length 2.5 hour 60 multiple choice question for FRQ AP test.
What was it last year?
It was 2 every AP test last year was like either 1 or 2 essay questions, and that was it. Okay, but the rumor that I'm hearing is that colleges have told College Board that they will not take that again. That if College Board offers those kinds of tests, colleges don't care what grade you get, they will not give you credit. You can get a 5, and colleges will not give you credit for that class. Because it was a joke. Okay? I mean, those tests really were a joke. Colleges know that they were a joke. Okay? So there's no evidence that you actually like learned anything worthy or valuable for college. So, the 15 cases. In previous years, I've had kids make like a little book so that they could know all of the information that they have to know about the cases. You're essentially going to do the same thing, except now, because I don't want to touch things that you've touched. You don't want to touch things that I've touched for the most part, right? And half of my students don't ever show up because they're online. A book doesn't work. So you're going to make a digital booklet, which I'm not wild about because now you're just going to copy and paste a whole bunch of information rather than handwriting it, because when you hand wrote it, at least you had to read it in order to transcribe it, and then therefore hopefully you learned something. But in reality, because like the AP test is on you guys. Like I said, I will teach you everything you need to know, but the AP test is on you. So if you want to learn it, you'll learn it. If you don't want to learn it and you just want to try to get your A in this class, you'll do that too. Whatever. So you're going to basically create a digital book. You're going to do this through Adobe Spark. You have access to Adobe Spark, whether you know it or not. Okay? So if you go to like spark.adobe.com, which is the website that's up here on the board, and you go over here and it says log in with school account, you have a school account. What? You go to school. Shocking! Okay, so you will put in your school email address. Whoops. Right? Now, it's going to ask you again, because, you know, redundancies to the redundancies of bureaucracy, you have to put in company or school account again. I think it will then ask for your password. I'd already put mine in. So, yeah. All right, so what you are going to do now, is you are going to use Adobe Spark to create your little 15 slides. And if you want to do it as a presentation, you can. you want to do it as a slideshow, you can. I would advise you to either do like I would probably do a collage because this is easiest. You can search for all kinds of free photos. Once you start creating it, I'm pretty sure you can put text in there. This is another easy way to do it because you can add photos here. You can add like a title, subtitles, text boxes. Alright, but you're going to be able to manipulate this however you want. The assignment here is in Canvas. And I do want to go over this with you quickly, just so that you're sort of clear as to what it is. All right, so it's actually listed under there. It's its own module, and it is its own module because it pseudo fits into what we're doing right now, but it also sort of doesn't fit into what we're doing right now. So the reality is, these first three cases, McCulloch versus Maryland, US v. Lopez, and Marbury v. Madison, were part of Unit 1. Okay? In fact, I'm pretty sure Lopez was on the test, right? Because Lopez is a federalism case. What we're going to do now, the next three cases, Citizens United, Baker v. Carr, and Shaw v. Reno, are all in relation to campaigns, or Citizens United is campaign finance. Baker versus Carr and Shaw versus Reno deal with voting rights, right? And the unit that we're now in is like voting and campaigns and political participation. So these three cases could show up on your next test. All right. So I would advise you to at least go through and get started on these 6 cases. The other 9, all 9 of them, from Brown versus Board of Ed all the way down to McDonald v. Chicago, are all civil rights, civil liberties cases, which means we will get into those when we get into the civil rights and civil liberties unit, and you'll actually get a couple of days during that unit to work on this assignment. Okay? And then when that unit is over, you should have all of these done, and you would move on. So what I would advise you to do is when you go into Adobe Spark, and again, I don't care your layout, I'm going to give you some sort of freedom with that, right? But if you want to do a presentation, okay, so we can put Lopez v. United States, right? And this case was 1997, I think. You actually need to make sure that you add years in. I'm also dyslexic. I think that's actually United States v. Lopez, not Lopez v. United States. Because there's a different case that's actually Lopez v. United States in a different year. So you understand, like, we haven't gotten to this, but like there's literally like 100 cases in the Supreme Court every single year. Right? Every year for over 200 years. That's a lot of cases. You're going to end up with like redundancies in terms of names. Okay? In fact, Brown versus Board of Education, the exact same case was tried twice in the Supreme Court. So there's Brown versus Board 1 and Brown versus Board 2, which is why the year needs to be in there because that will help you. Okay? So once you do this, right now down here I can add like text boxes to things. Okay, I can add photos. Let's look up like school. Actually, let's look up a school building because Lopez v. US is a dude. What kind of schools are these?
Yeah, you're better off like picking your own images.
Well,
Type in A&M, that's a good one.
no, it's not. Nobody needs to be a part of that cult.
Physical.
right? So there you go. So now you have like a background photo. You can add all sorts of stuff down here. The requirements, just so we understand, the requirements, one, you have to have some sort of image. If you want it to be a background image the way I did it, you can do that. If you want to just add like a text, like an image in a box on that page, you can do that. Again, I'm going to give you sort of freedom, because I'm not the most creative person in the world. Some of you are probably very artistic, and you can do wonderful things with this. Some of you will probably barely put anything on here other than the basic information, because you're not real artistic. I don't care. I care about your information more than I care about looks, right? But I do want you to have some sort of visual image for each case, right? So for Lopez, USV Lopez, for instance, you might want to have like a school, because that was a case. You all know what it was about? It was on the test. What did Lopez try to do? He brought a gun to school, right? And then they tried to charge him under a federal law, because they were like, you can't have guns in schools according to federal law because it's interstate commerce.
Why does the police have a gun at school?
Police are different. Okay? Police have something called qualified immunity. Okay? Police like they don't have to follow the law. Like, it's wrong that they don't. Like, seriously, go watch a police officer drive sometimes. They all speed. They don't stop at stop signs, like, because who's gonna stop them and ticket them? I tried once, it didn't work.
Did you really?
No, I didn't really. I'm trying to get shot. Good lord. But no, you need some sort of image, all right? Because there's evidence that says that a visual image will help you remember better. So that if you can tie the case to some sort of picture. It's easier to remember that picture than a whole bunch of like words. You need another question before the court, right? So Lopez versus United States, because it's a good example since it's the one we're talking about. The question before the court is not whether or not you can bring a gun to school. The answer is no. No, you cannot. The Supreme Court agrees with that. Everybody agrees with that. Only stupid people don't agree with that. No guns in school, right? That is not the issue. The issue is whether or not the law passed by Congress as a part of interstate commerce is actually interstate commerce. Y'all understand what interstate commerce is? Yes? What? Of interstate commerce? Commerce is buying and selling things. Interstate means like crossing state lines to do it. Explain to me how bringing a gun to school is interstate commerce.
That's why I was confused.
See, I would be confused too, because Congress basically said, well, if there's guns in schools, then kids are like scared and they don't learn as well, and then if they don't learn as well, they don't go to a good enough college, and if they don't go to good colleges, then they don't get good jobs, and if they don't get good jobs, then they can't like buy and sell things across state lines, so it's interstate commerce, clearly.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Clearly. The Supreme Court obviously is like all of you, and they were very confused, and they were like, yeah, this is not interstate commerce at all.
Aren't they all really old?
Supreme Court justices?
Yeah.
No?
I thought they were all like 90, like let's die.
Oh, no, that's just RBG.
There's only one old one?
Ruth Bader Ginsburg is the only one who's about to die. Yeah, but she's not going to die so long as Donald Trump's in office. Like, they will weekend at burning her until Trump's out of office. Because Democrats will not let Donald Trump replace her. She's the most liberal justice on the court. What?
Wait, so you can work until you die, right?
In the Supreme Court? Yeah, you get an appointment for life.
But can they take you out if you like start getting loopy?
So, can you be impeached? Yes, you can. To my knowledge, there have only been 2 Supreme Court justices that they've ever tried to impeach, and both of them failed. Because you basically, like, to be impeached, you have to actually, like, commit a high crime or misdemeanor. But for a judge, that means you have to be, like accepting bribes on your vote, which the Supreme Court doesn't do. Why would you? You have absolute, like you have the greatest job security ever, because it's literally for life. When, like, a lot of justices do retire, right? I mean, shoot, John Paul Stevens retired in the 90s? Like, he was appointed by Jimmy Carter Gerald Ford in the 70s. And he retired, I think, in the 90s. And that dude's, I don't know, I haven't looked for a little while. Maybe he died. He was alive a year ago at like 103. Yeah. Sandra Day O'Connor is a former Supreme Court justice who's still alive, although she now has Alzheimer's, so she won't be around much longer. But for the most part, like, if justices die, it's generally because it's sort of something sudden, like a heart attack. If it's like a long, like if they're gonna have a long, drawn out, slow death, they generally retire because they wouldn't be there enough. Now RBG is not doing that just because, like I said, she's not gonna let Donald Trump replace her. She won't.
Wait, but if you go to the Supreme Court, that means you're doing like a big, big case. I wouldn't want like very old people to judge my life. You know what I'm saying?
Well, one, nobody's judging your life.
Well,
They're
like,
only.
it could affect my life.
No. The Supreme Court actually only they can have original jurisdiction, but they very rarely do they have original jurisdiction, and it only occurs in certain instances. For the most part, it's appellate jurisdiction, and when you have appellate jurisdiction, all they're doing is determining if law was decided correctly, not like the actual case, right? So think about it, right? Like, let's just say for the sake of argument, like I actually there was a dude in Texas, we can use him, right? So dude in Texas kills somebody, right? Goes to trial, gets the death penalty, right? He appeals, it goes all the way to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court's not determining whether he did or did not kill somebody. That trial was determined, he was found guilty. The Supreme Court now is trying to figure out whether the state of Texas can or cannot execute a mentally retarded man. And whether this man actually is or is not mentally defective, or whatever the legal term is that they use, right? Like, that's what the Supreme Court looks at. They don't look at guilt or innocence.
Did they find him mentally defective?
I don't remember what, the case was on the docket last year, and I didn't go and look at the results. It was a fascinating case, though, because the state of Texas was saying that the dude was intentionally failing IQ tests so that he couldn't be executed, because you cannot execute somebody that's mentally handicapped. Like, the Supreme Court decided that a long time ago. But like, over the course of time, the dude had taken like 6 or 7 IQ tests, and one of them, he had like a just high enough score to be executed, and all the others he failed. And the state of Texas was like, no, he's intentionally failing these in order to not be executed, which actually proves that he's intelligent enough to be executed because he's manipulating the system to try to not be executed. It's a fascinating legal argument, but whatever. All right. What?
Did they execute him?
Like I said, I don't know. I didn't look at the results. I'll go figure that out for you. But we're now grossly off topic. Okay? And the reality is there will be like a whole lecture, and we'll talk about this in significant detail when we get to the Supreme Court. And you need to understand, though, the question before the court. Okay? And again, that's a constitutional issue. So, like the case I was just giving you, it's not a matter of whether or not this dude did or didn't kill somebody. That's decided the law. Right? Like, that was already tried by a jury. The question is whether or not this dude can be executed, because the question is whether or not he is or is not mentally, like, capable. Right? The facts of the case are those things that are being argued in front of the court, and then the decision is what the court actually finds. Right? So again, if we go back to Lopez versus United States, for instance, so the facts of the case: Lopez brings a gun to school. That's in violation of a congressional statute or a congressional law, right? The Congress is arguing, the government is arguing that that's part of interstate commerce. Like, these are the facts of the case. Okay? This is what both sides are arguing about and what the justices will decide. The decision is the justice's decision. Now, most cases also have dissents. You don't, your college board tells me that you're not required to know the dissent. I think that you should understand the dissent, though, in order to better understand the decision, right? Because dissents will help you. Although it's not one of the required cases, if you look at the Affordable Care Act case, which is a 5-4 case, right? Meaning 5 justices sided with the Affordable Care Act and allowed it to continue. 4 justices decided against it, right? The swing vote on that case was Chief Justice John Roberts, who basically said that the Affordable Care Act was constitutional because it was simply a tax, right? The 4 dissenters argued it wasn't a tax, it was a requirement by the U.S. government to purchase something which the government does not have the authority to do. Okay? If you understand the dissenting argument, it also helps you understand the case, because you need to realize that anything that goes to the Supreme Court is sort of muddied to begin with, right? There's not a clear sort of answer, because if there were a clear answer, it never would have gone to the Supreme Court in the first place. Okay? And even if somebody like appealed it, if there was a clear answer, the Supreme Court doesn't touch the case and they just say, hey, the lower ruling like works, like we're done. Like we're just not even going to hear it here because it's already settled. All right? So, do we understand what's being expected of you?
What would the question be for the question before the court for Lopez?
Whether or not Lopez bringing a gun to school is a state issue or a national issue, right? Whether or not the congressional law was an overreach of the Commerce Clause, like those are the facts. Now, the last thing that I'm going to show you is 2 websites that will help you immensely. Oyez, is it .org or .com? I think it's .org. So Oyez is a very good resource for you here. So for instance, let's just put in we'll put in like I did not spell that correctly. There we go. Oberfell v. Hodges, right? This is a Supreme Court case decided in 2015, right? Like there's the facts of the case, right? Groups of same-sex couples sued for basically equal treatment under the law, right? Like there you go. So equal protection clause. Okay. There's the question before the court. Does the 14th Amendment require a state to license a marriage? Require a state to license a marriage between 2 people of the same sex? Does the 14th Amendment require a state to recognize marriage between 2 people of the same sex that was legally licensed and performed in another state? That's not just the 14th Amendment, but this would also be an issue for full faith and credit clause, right? And then there's your decision, right? And if you ever cared, like these are the justices that were on the court at the time, okay? And so you can go see, like, there's all the guys on the right, and there's all the people on the left, right? And who's like more liberal and more conservative, or you can just go by seniority. Chief Justice, and then this dude's been on the court the longest, and then him, and then him. These 2 aren't on the court anymore, though. They're already off. He's dead, and he quit. All right? Any questions? No? Wonderful. So that's a fairly long explanation, but it will be a major grade. So if you have problems with Adobe Spark, let me know, and I can try to help you.